Welcome, seekers of truth and tender-hearted witnesses to the dramas that shape our screens, to a new and stirring chapter of Turkish spotlight secrets. The fog around Turkey's shimmering pair seemed impenetrable for days, and rumors ran wild, whispers of final goodbyes, silent houses, eyes closed to a shared future. But today, a lamp has lit within Elçin Sangu's inner circle, and its glow has softened the harsh outlines of speculation. A confidant close to Elçin, someone who has stood quietly beside her away from camera flashes, has chosen to speak. And with her words, the world realized we are not reading the last page of a love story, we're turning into a naughty, crucial chapter that will one day make sense. Before we walk into the anatomy of that difficult night and the ache that followed, allow me a quick, heartfelt invitation. If this kind of careful, humane storytelling matters to you, narratives that respect privacy while honoring real emotion, click subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets and turn on notifications so the truth never arrives late. And for those who want to stand behind this work and open the door to special content, tap the join button right now. Your support keeps this small lighthouse shining. Now, deep breath, because the truth is more touching than anyone imagined. The silence that for days felt like a verdict hanging over Elçin Sangu and Baris Arduç has finally cracked. The only person capable of translating what Elçin felt, someone who has seen the backstage of her life, decided not to feed the rumor mill but to defend reality. Some truths deserve to come to light now, she said in a voice both steady and protective. And with that, what many took as a sunken ship turned back into what it always was, a storm passing over solid water. She began by drawing a vital line in the sand. What happened between Elçin and Baris was not a final separation. It was space. It was a breath taken after running too long. In her view, it didn't even qualify as a breakup. It was an emotional timeout sparked by fatigue, the kind that makes even the strongest shoulders sag. She spoke of Elçin as the world sometimes forgets to see her. An artist who feels first and thinks later, a woman who lives intensely and, on the longest days, gets swept up in that very intensity. The decision to step away did not come from a lack of love, it came from an overload, from impossible schedules, from being pulled in directions that leave the heart threadbare. The spark, she said, was small, ridiculously small in the beginning. A misunderstanding so ordinary it could happen to any couple. But the consequences grew monstrous in seconds. Baris's relentless timetable collided with the quiet hours that magnify loneliness, and suddenly a simple exchange turned into the wrong kind of crescendo. The tone shifted, the pauses sounded louder than the words themselves. He meant one thing, she heard another, the confidant explained. And then pride walked in and locked the door. Exhausted and aching, wounded by a day already too heavy, Elçin said a sentence that felt like armor, I need to be on my own for a while. That line came from self-protection more than conviction, and the night ended with two people retreating into separate rooms of the same heartbreak. What followed has moved fans to tears. That chosen solitude, which at first felt like a shield, became the coldest room she had ever entered. After the heat of the argument evaporated, the true temperature of her feelings returned with merciless clarity. Not even a week passed before the absence hurt more than the pride helped. The confidant described a scene that would make anyone's throat tighten, Elçin alone, in the quiet between commitments, replaying old clips on her phone, scrolling through photographs, searching the past for the softness she'd set aside. Nights turned reflective, restless. The question that haunted her walls was simple, did I push away the very thing I wanted to keep? And the heart, scheming and honest, had already answered. She missed him not as a habit, but as a necessity. Her heart still rests with Baris, the confidant said gently. That hasn't changed. Let's pause here, Turkish Spotlight Secrets family. How many times have we, from the outside, mistaken a pause for an ending? How often have we allowed momentary storms to set permanent courses? We want to know, have you ever let pride speak louder than love and felt regret instantly? Do you believe that longing is proof of a bond that never broke? Your stories breathe life into this channel. Leave your words below. And if this kind of intimate, carefully drawn analysis speaks to you, tap like, and consider joining as a member. We continue. In the geometry of this love, angles of hurt, lines of hope, Baris' Arctic emerges with a quiet steadiness. The friend who shared these truths did not hide her admiration for how he carried himself. He didn't push, he didn't turn a private bruise into a public spectacle. He made space. He let time be useful. He acted with real maturity, she said. He stepped back without stepping away. No furious declarations, no grand theater. Just a respectful hush that said more than noise ever could. He was hurting, yes, she added, but he refused to pass that hurt along. That grace deepened Elçin's reflection. Knowing he honored her request, while still checking, quietly, through people they trust, that she was okay, touched her deeply. And the message from those close to her is clear: Baris is valued. He is known not only as her partner, but as a good man. The murmur of imagined family friction fades under that truth. If anything, the circles around them are rooting for healing. Perhaps the most hopeful strand in this tapestry is that the thread was never fully cut. Even with physical distance, they kept small bridges intact. Short notes. Check-ins with few words but heavy meaning. One simple question, "Are you all right?" became a heartbeat across a silent room. Sometimes a single line carries the whole story, the confidant reflected. And in this story, those quick pings were lifelines. Her role has mattered, too. She didn't pressure Elçin to do anything she couldn't own in the daylight. She only spoke the truth she could see in her friend's eyes. If your pulse still jumps at his name, don't let pride be your translator, she told her. Those words loosened a knot. They allowed Elçin to put down the shield, to admit out loud what her heart had been thumping in Morse code for days, that the distance taught her nothing except how much she didn't want it. We are watching a story still in motion, a compass needle finding north again. This perspective, offered with care and without malice, reminds us that real love bends and sways under weather, but its roots hold if they're deep. Right now, Elçin and Baris are rebuilding on quieter ground, talking from across the space, learning where the other needs room and where the other needs an anchor. Sometimes it takes stepping back half a step to finally stand side by side, the confidant said softly. And from what we're hearing, that half step is shrinking by the hour. Here at Turkish Spotlight Secrets, we'll keep listening for the soft sounds that matter. The ones that aren't shouted, the ones that carry meaning in their restraint. Do you think the next time we see them together will be a public hand-in-hand moment, or will reconciliation remain a private promise for now? Was this crisis, uncomfortable as it was, the pressure they needed to grow past old patterns? Send your theories, your hopes, your lessons learned from your own stormy nights. And if you want to be the first to know when love walks back through the door, subscribe, switch on notifications, and consider joining our membership community by tapping join. For those asking what truly happened on that hard evening, the confidant widened the lens. The day had been relentless. He had been racing from set to meeting to call, she had been pacing through an apartment littered with to-do lists, the world tugging at the hem of her dress while nobody asked how she felt inside it. When they finally spoke, timing betrayed them. He was still half in his obligations, she was fully in her feelings. His attempt to reassure came out clipped. Her effort to explain sounded like accusation, though she meant it as honesty. The room overheard the wrong language, and the argument escalated quickly. The sentence that ended the conversation, "I need time alone," wasn't a plan. It was a refuge built in a second. It felt safe, until it felt unbearably quiet. In the days that followed, that hush held lessons. She noticed how her coffee tasted flatter, how their private jokes had no landing strip in a one-person room. Songs they both loved turned into trapdoors. She tried to outpace longing by filling hours, but the more she moved, the more the absence became a shape she could not ignore. On the other side, he kept his promises to himself: give her room, don't add noise, be a safe shore if she wants to sail back. And that restraint, rare, precious, said the most important thing: I love you enough to let you breathe. If you are watching this and remembering your own nearly lost love, you're not alone. Pride is a clever actor, it dresses up as protection and leaves only when love calls it by its real name. For Elçin and Baris, the call has already begun. Those short messages, those gentle questions, those reminders to eat, to rest, to be kind to oneself, they're the quiet choreography of two people finding rhythm again. No fireworks, not yet. Just quiet sparks landing where they matter. As we close this chapter for now, a final word from the person who opened the door for us: what they have isn't fragile, it's tender. There's a difference. Tender things can be strong. And maybe that's the point we all needed to hear tonight. This isn't a finale. It's a recalibration. The wind is easing. The sea is settling. And somewhere between a typed goodnight and a hesitant phone call, a reunion is sketching itself into reality. Turkish Spotlight Secrets will be here for the next page, ready to tell you when the distance finally collapses into an embrace. Until then, keep your hearts soft, keep your minds open, and keep faith with the stories that remind us why we believe in love at all. Subscribe, hit the bell, and, if our work speaks to you, click join to stand with us. Thank you for holding this space with care. We'll see you in the next exclusive, where the truth, once again, will find its way home.